Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of our 3 keynote meditations preceding the the actual Gemini full moon. So what we'll have over the next 3 nights, it's night here in Finland, and I know it's other times where you are, but we will have at 8 p.m. GMT tonight the meditation on love. Then tomorrow, the meditation on resurrection, as Gemini, interestingly, has so much to do with the 7th initiation of resurrection. And then a keynote on contact will be Saturday night. Then on Sunday night, it's going to be a busy night. We'll have the pre-full moon meditation. It'll be a webinar, just like all of these are, at 8 o'clock. And then I'm thinking of starting again. I have to decide whether it's going to be possible, but it would be like at 1 o'clock in the morning, or maybe 10 o'clock GMT. I'll get this sent out to you if I decide to do it. The 3rd installment of identification as being, or identify as being. I'm writing a new book called Seeds of the Infinite, and I'd like to share some of the seed thoughts with you and give us a chance to meditate on these factors, some of which I think run very deep. It always happens for me somehow under the Gemini influence. Then the next day, which is a Monday, we will actually have the full moon meditation. 2 years in London with the Arcane School Conference, so I pretty well will be offering these things, some of the things that she does, but in a little bit of an abbreviated form. She is the master of putting the music together with the meditation. You just have to bear with me. So, okay, I want to welcome you all. Very happy to see you here. And I won't go through your names right now, but I see who's here, and I'm very happy you've seen fit to attend. We're going to meditate on love. It's the major energy for our particular planet, and Gemini has so much to do with making of our planet a sacred planet. It also had a lot to do with the individualization of man long ago. So that Gemini-Sagittarius axis is all about the animal and the truly human. And what can I call it? The angelization, sort of our planet, turning us into members of the 5th kingdom, more and more approximating the solar angels. All of that comes in under Gemini. A marvelous sign, and I hope to, during the actual full moon meditation, to be able to read and talk about a little bit the labors of Hercules in Gemini. Fortunately, it was one of the labors which the Tibetan, through Alice Bailey, was able to write. Alice Bailey passed on after the Tibetan had written the labor of Libra, and so the last 5 or so had to be gathered in a different way. And of course, you see, as good as it was, it wasn't the Tibetan writing. So, but anyway, he did write the very complex labor of Gemini, where Hercules goes looking for the golden apples of the Hesperides. And really, as aspirants and disciples, we are doing the very thing that he was doing. Well, let me switch here now to, this is our Christ Festival. our festival of humanity, our festival of Asala. It is World Invocation Day. It just turns out to be, so Monday all day will be the World Invocation Day, where we will be trying every 15 minutes, every half hour, whatever, individually or in our groups, to sound out where we can, audibly, the great invocation. And if we're in a place where we can't do that, we can do it mentally, So that is a very powerful day. It began in 1952. It has continued every year. And maybe we can make that full moon day a great day of invocation of the higher forces of reconstruction, which we so badly need at this time of disintegrating values under the end of the Piscean age. But we're in the cross currents between the disintegrating Piscean values and the emerging Aquarian values. We really need the higher understanding. Uniquely, we need it now. And our World Invocation Day activities, however you want to conduct that by yourself or with your friends and associates, will be very important. Okay, friends, so our keynote today is love, and the idea is that the hierarchy meets and deals with these keynotes on the days preceding the actual full moon. So this is a day of renunciation and detachment. And we are going to engage with the available energies. We withdraw the consciousness from the personality per se and all its vehicles, but we recognize really that we are the soul in incarnation. And it's that consciousness that is gradually withdrawn from identification with the lunar vehicles, those involutionary beings that we are trying to train through our various bodies. So we act as if, or we internally visualize that we are emerging into a field of light and love and spiritual power, which is the realm of the soul, first encounter on the higher mental plane. And no matter what may be going on around us, really we have to gain access to this inner and first truly subjective world. The astral and mental body may be subtle, but they're not subjective, and only on the higher mental plane do we meet subjectivity. So we act as if we visualize ourselves as a soul, a unit of consciousness, or sometimes I say being consciousness, and we begin to merge with the group soul because the soul is group conscious. So it's like one field of consciousness into which we are entering. wherever we may find ourselves geographically in terms of space, there's something else happening in terms of a oneness of consciousness. And we're uniting in soul with the spiritually minded people of the world, the members of the new group of world servers and the men and women of Goodwill. Wherever they may be, there is a oneness in consciousness which is pervading all of us. And finally, there's that sense of the one soul of humanity, whether the human beings are in the body or out of the body, it's finally one consciousness and finally one entity, really. And DK tells us somehow to realize that there is no my soul or thy soul, but only this one soul, this one consciousness. And the second ray mantram is applied, if we can understand it, if we can work with it. Naught is but me. Naught is but me. And when the consciousness, sort of flips over into that realization, it's sometimes called the blinking of the dragon's eye. We see through that eye, which is the eye of the dragon of wisdom. And the isolated unity of the masters who are minor dragons of wisdom appears fleetingly to us. Naught is but me. We try to gain impression from higher worlds where these realizations are continuous and we don't have to struggle so hard to make them appear. When you say those words, naught is but me, I advise the cultivation and the opening of the heart center, as it will make the statement real to us. We are, at least imaginatively, in the presence of the Great White Brotherhood. Their natural place of focus are the planes of the spiritual triad, abstract mind, Buddhic transcendental mind, and the realm of the spiritual will, Atma. And they see what we cannot see, and we want to cooperate with them to help bring their vision into manifestation. So we'll feel gratitude as we feel and inwardly imagine the presence of the members of the Great White Brotherhood. And we have our gratitude towards all the labors they have performed on behalf of humanity over the many millions of years. So let us sound out our salutations and our implied willingness to cooperate with these registrants of the purpose and custodians of the plan. Salutations to the Buddha, the Lord of Light and Wisdom. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters. Salutations to the members of the triangle with which we most closely work, the Master Moria, the Master Kuhumi, the Master Jwal Kul. Salutations to the Master Moria, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, the head of the Great Second Ray Ashram, working most assiduously towards the reappearance of the Christ. Salutations to the Master Jwal Kul, the messenger of the masters who has given us the blue books and also so much of the writings of Theosophy under HPB, and then a third installment of teaching to come shortly. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. And so it is our intent to cooperate with the hierarchy as best we can, but then seeking to go still higher at a greater point of tension, we imaginatively raise our thought together towards Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. And with deepest reverence and in all humility, we attempt, identified as a group soul, to attune with the presence of Sanat Kumara, standing at the center of Shambhala, and we sound a long inner silent Om, imagining the group imbued with his energy and with as much of the purpose and the plan as we can absorb. And so our attunement will be at this time and increasingly as we approach the full moon with Mercury, revealing the pairs of opposites with Venus, the esoteric ruler uniting the pairs of opposites, and with the Earth, the hierarchical ruler, which for us represents the field of service, becoming sacred through the ministrations of Gemini, Mercury, and Venus. We turn our attention imaginatively towards our great solar logos, shining esoterically through the sun. We feel that great ray of love, wisdom, the same ray which pours through Gemini, pouring through the solar god, the god of love, wisdom, the God who is a consuming fire of love. All of us tiny units of love and wisdom simply because we are, or we have, our spiritual home, as it is said, within the sun. The light of Gemini, we cognize it's the light of interplay, because always more light will be added at each full moon period. This is the purpose of these meditations. So it's a line of light beams revealing that which opposes, or the basic duality of manifestation and the relationship of spirit and form. It is the conscious light of that relationship. So we sense the pairs of opposites, and we learn to unite them, bring them together. We open ourselves to the energy quality of Gemini, the second ray of love wisdom, uniting that which is opposed, uniting frictional factors, using Mercury and Venus to do so, and bringing in the forces of reconstruction, rebuilding our world. I suspect there will be much destruction during the final days of the age of Pisces. We still have 100 years to go, roughly, and much rebuilding and reconstruction will be needed. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Gemini, fraternity. The beginning of brotherhood. I recognize my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. We gain great objectivity upon our normal outer nature, and we see from the perspective of our higher nature. I am abstracted from my personality, and I recognize the other normal, conventional self, which is my vehicle. And in the waning of that self, the decrease of light of that self, the light comes to me, I inwardly grow and glow. We all have to learn to be the higher of the two selves and use the outer self as an instrument. The two great brothers of Gemini are the Christ and the Buddha, representing the East for the Buddha and the West for the Christ. And they bring together the two hemispheres. They bring together the opposites of East and West. And this has to be established in the consciousness of humanity, which is so often polarized only in one or the other. They are brothers in the light. And as the full moon approaches, there will come a time when the Christ will preach the entire last sermon of the Buddha. And the hints gather as we go. So we'll move towards that, and there'll come a time when that last sermon will be brought to our attention. There are many translations, but the idea behind it all is rely upon yourself and overcome all that holds you in illusion. So here is something as we begin to prepare for that entirety of the last sermon. Here is something from that last sermon where the Buddha is speaking to his closest disciple, Ananda, which means bliss. Herein, O Ananda, let a brother, as he dwells in the body, so regard the body that he, being strenuous, thoughtful, and mindful, may, whilst in the world, overcome the grief which arises from the body's cravings. We have to do it now. We don't wait for the disembodied state. The Buddha was sometimes called the lion, and he had a first-rate personality, the Tibetan tells us. He was very strong and wanted that strength for his students. So let us affirm in ourselves the fact that we can be strenuous, thoughtful, and mindful in the overcoming of the grief which arises from the body's cravings. And because it is so important in detachment and disillusionment, let us resolve to be so, strenuous, thoughtful, mindful. With profound gratitude to the Buddha for all he has done to illumine humanity as the Lord of Light and Lord of Wisdom, we now refocus our attention on the Christ. And with the utmost heartfelt attentiveness of which we are capable, we listen inwardly, imagining that we hear the Christ sounding the great invocation, and we allow for a period of silent absorption of his imagined sounding. So, on each of the 3 days in preparation prior to the full moon, the Christ is said to speak the great invocation alone. And of course, the sounding will not be in the English language, more perhaps in what Leadbeater calls the Pali, P-A-L-I, but the meaning is the same. Now again, listening inwardly and with great care, we imagine the Christ and the entire hierarchy intoning the first stanza of the great invocation. And all the while we contemplate the deep significance of these words. So there will be then on each day a different stanza and a different distinct keynote. So Master DK describes the first keynote as follows, and we will ponder upon it initially, and we can carry on the pondering during the day as we go. And it is the keynote of love in its hierarchical sense, free from sentiment, emotion, and personal emphasis. A love that sacrifices and understands. That acts with strength and decision, and that works on behalf of the whole, and not in the interests of any group or individual. So we ponder this type of love as given here by the Tibetan, and we envision this type of love growing in ourselves and in all human beings. And we imagine how we might apply this type of hierarchical love. It will take much, for us to understand this type of love and to cultivate it within ourselves as a reality. So may this type of love grow within us with understanding. It's impersonal and it's not caught up in liking and disliking or emotional display or exclusivism. It is the real Christ love, the real Christ love. So we'll be going and we'll collect these keynotes tomorrow, resurrection, and then contact on Saturday. So we affirm our solidarity with the Buddha and the Christ and the assembled hierarchy. We seek to identify with them and to merge our purpose and their much greater purpose. And as we merge with them, we bless the world in silence. Then we pause for a moment of appreciation of the illumined, loving energies of the constellation Gemini, and we feel ourselves imbued, increasingly so over these next days, with these energies which are growing in strength as the full moon approaches. As if in union with the Christ and the hierarchy and all disciples in the world, we sound together what we have been focusing upon, namely the first stanza of the great invocation, sensing the redemptive union of light and love. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. We'll translate our point of tension increase. Tomorrow is Friday, so in the evening at 5 p.m. I'll be working with you on glamour, our glamour work, dissipating glamour. And then when 8 o'clock GMT comes, we'll be having our webinar meditation on this very important idea of resurrection. So there's a lot to do in the days ahead, but just hold that point of tension so we feel Gemini all around us and through us, and the planets which are so important to Gemini, namely the Mercury, Venus, and the Earth, and the forces of reconstruction are afoot, and the world needs it badly, and we will contribute, at least initially in our thought, to that reconstruction. The plan will be restored in Aries, the light will shine in Taurus, and the practical etheric reconstruction will occur, followed by the reconstruction on the physical level following the etheric pattern. Gemini and the etheric body, as we know. So many blessings to you all, lots of love, and I'm sure Tuya sends her love from London, and all the members of the Seven Ray Institute, University of Seven Rays, Moria Federation, Blue Rose Sisterhood, and so forth, the groups with which we are affiliated. We all send our love and our wish for good group progress together in these times when we are working very hard to make sure that humanity can enter the Aquarian age in the right way. This tremendous work lies ahead of us, and more than one life of it for sure. We've got about 100 years to go, I guess, and then the vernal equinox will point directly to the 30th degree of Aquarius. You know, it goes in reverse order, 30, 29, 28, and so forth. And we will have technically entered the age of Aquarius, and the sixth ray and the Piscean energy will have subsided and no longer be obstructive factors. Okay, we'll get this on to Makara, and many blessings to you, and all the best. We'll see you tomorrow if you can. Looking forward to it. Let's hold that point of tension. I recognize my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow.